Awesome. Welcome everyone to our regular council meeting on Tuesday, February 10th at 2026. Welcome to those who are tuning in online. And we also want to start off with acknowledging that we are thankful and blessed to live and work on this land that we have in Beaumont, to honor those who came before us. We value the enduring relationships with the French and the Indigenous peoples who continue to share their history, knowledge, and culture with our community. We're also thankful for the generations whose dedication and faith helped shape the community into the vibrant city that it is today. And from there, I'm going to just go into an acknowledgement of a proclamation. Of course, the City of Beaumont is fully committed to recognizing and supporting the valuable contributions of the organizations and initiatives in our community that make a positive impact. Proclamations will be posted on the City of Beaumont's website during their designated observance periods to ensure the important work of these organizations get recognized and highlighted. And so with that, on February 13th, we declare or proclaim the following Wear Red Canada Day. I think there's a typo here in the Her Heart Matters. But if you go on the website, or if you see the agenda here, you'll see how it's written. Yeah, there's a typo on mine. On behalf of council, thank you to everyone who helps give meaning to these important days of significance in our community, and make sure you look up the full proclamation online. With that, we're going to go to an adoption of the agenda, and we do have a change in that.
That's correct, Madam Mayor. So administration would like to add an Innovation Park update report as item 11.2 to the closed session pursuant to the Access to Information Act, sections 19 and 26.
Okay, so I'll need a councillor to this. Councillor Cole-Smith. Oh, let me try that again.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the February 10th, 2026 regular council agenda be adopted as amended, adding Innovation Park update report as item 11-2 to closed session pursuant to the Access to Information Act, sections 19 and 26.
Awesome. So any discussion on that? So what we're doing is we're moving this into closed session before we go into the business items, correct? This will be moved down?
So first we need to amend the agenda. So we need to adopt this item, and then administration will be asking to move the item to be dealt with before the business items.
Thank you. All right, so we'll have a vote. And that passed unanimously. All right, so the next one is open forum. There is no open forum. No one in the
That's correct. We have no open forum this evening.
Okay, and consent agenda. We'll need to adopt the consent agenda and items listed. It's a long list.
Let me just shrink it a little bit here.
Yeah, thank you. So at this point, any of these items councillor wants to take off the consent agenda? Councillor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council can, excuse me, I was just going to go through and read this. I didn't have anything to remove.
I don't know if you necessarily need to read it all.
Yes, we do need it read
Okay.
out, please.
So no one has anything they want to remove? Okay, you go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I move that council consent to approve the following, it just got rolled up on me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. The following agenda items without debate. 5.1, Special Council Meeting Minutes, January 26, 2026. That council accept the minutes of the January 26, 2026 Special Council Meeting as presented. 5.2, Regular Council Meeting Minutes, January 27, 2026. That council accept the minutes of the January 27, 2026 Regular Council Meeting as presented. 5.3, Special Council Meeting Minutes, February 3rd, 2026, that council accept the minutes of the February 3rd, 2026 Special Council Meeting as presented. 7.1, Bylaw 1097-26, 2026 Fees and Charges Amending Bylaw. That bylaw 1097-26, 2026 Fees and Charges Amending Bylaw, a bylaw to amend certain fees, rates, and charges for municipal services, be given first reading. that bylaw 1097-26 be given second reading, that bylaw 1097-26 be considered for third reading, that bylaw 1097-26 be given third reading.
I think there's a typo there. Is that, you have third reading twice?
So we need to have consideration for third reading before we can move to third reading all in one meeting. Yeah.
All right, any discussion about any of that? Okay, vote. And that carried unanimously. All right, so we will go next to the adoption of the minutes.
Madam Mayor, the minutes were on the consent agenda.
Oh, sorry.
So now we should be at business items, at which time administration would ask to provide information to council.
Okay,
So we just need consensus from council to move that item.
yes? Okay. Everyone, yes? Yeah, okay, we will.
So then we'll need a motion to move into closed session. Just give me a moment to bring that up.
Oh, pardon me? Oh, did you? Okay, he's just getting ready, he's getting queued
It's
up.
cold over here. I gotta stay warm.
Thank you for going first, once she puts it up.
Yeah, I think we'll get the wording the same. What's the time on your computer, Madam Mayor?
It is 6:08.
6:08. I move that council move it in 6:08 pursuant to the Access to Information Act, sections 20,
Sorry,
16,
those are the wrong sections. Thank you.
19, and 26.
Awesome, any discussion? Okay, what you do? Go ahead, Councillor Netelenbus.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick comment, and I'll pick on Ms. Dargis if I can here. I'm just hoping, just a reminder for everyone that's watching, in a little more detail why we go into closed sessions. I know you could go on forever about it, but just really quickly so that people are reminded why we have to do this sometimes.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Netelenbus, for that. So we go into closed session when there are, pursuant to the Access to Information Act, there are certain sections that allow council to deal with matters and information that is not open to the public. They may be confidential matters. There may be matters that are harmful to intergovernmental relations, and so there's discussion that needs to be had behind closed doors so that it doesn't harm relationships or economic interests of the municipality itself or of other parties.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Councillor Netelenbus. Okay, so with that, we will vote to go into closed session. And that carried unanimously. We'll go into closed session. Welcome back, everyone. We are now going to continue on with our regular council meeting, and we are on 6.1 in the business items. And the first item up is Four Seasons Island lighting. And what number are you, Ms. Holowicki? Number one?
Just a support.
All right. Oh, Jay? Okay, Mr. Lewicki, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the public. My name is Aaron Lewicki, and I'm the Director of Infrastructure for the City of Beaumont. I'm here tonight to discuss options for lighting for Four Seasons Park around Don Sparrow Lake as per Council's motion on December 9th, 2025. The current light fixture situated in Four Seasons Park on an island within Don Sparrow Lake has been non-operational since 2024. This fixture was intended to provide some degree of lighting to the pathways surrounding Don Sparrow Lake, as well as to the skating surface on the lake when conditions allow skating access. The light fixture is over 18 meters tall, which is about 60 feet, and located approximately 140 meters from the closest point of the lake, creating challenging conditions for servicing. The city evaluated repairing this light fixture in 2024, and the cost to repair it could not be accommodated in the operational budget, and costs to repair were deemed unfeasible. The light fixture was left non-operational to allow operational funding to be spent in higher priority areas. Administration has evaluated repair of this light fixture and considered 3 possible options. Option 1, repair existing light fixture. Option 2, decommission light fixture and install new lighting around Don Sparrow Lake, or option 3, no repair. For option 1, the estimated cost to assess the estimated cost for the light fixture, remove old lights, rewire, install new LED lights, and install bird deterrents is $30,000. The effort will require a boom lift to accommodate access to the light tower and to remove and replace the 6 1,500-watt metal hydride lights. The work will also include rewiring the fixture to allow installation of 6 commercial extended-duty 600-watt light-emitting diodes that include removal of ballast required for operation of existing lighting. The replacement LED lights should be more efficient than previous lighting and are anticipated to have a 25-year operational service life. As part of this project, the city would also recommend adding bird deterrents to the light fixtures to eliminate issues with birds using the light fixture as a perch for catching fish in the lake. Climbing this fixture was not considered a safe or practical solution for changing the lights due to the height and effort required. However, the contractor did assess the fixture from the ground and confirmed the ballast is operational. And given the lack of safe access, it is presumed the lights have burned out after reaching their lifespan. If this work is to be completed in 2026, it must occur soon to take advantage of the ice thickness on the lake and potentially colder temperatures. If the repair is approved and adequate ice thickness can be maintained in the next few weeks due to warmer weather, the work will have to wait until January or February 2027 when the ice thickness can permit access again. Option 2. Option 2 includes decommissioning of the light fixture and installation of new lights around Don Sparrow Lake. A high-level estimated cost to install new lighting around Don Sparrow Lake could range between $140,000 and over $250,000, with decommissioning estimated at $50,000. Planning and design efforts would be required to refine scope and pricing. Any new light installations would result in park disruptions through the spring, summer, and fall seasons and could not be completed before the end of 2027 at the earliest. Administration recommends that any new lighting be considered as part of a master plan for Four Seasons Park to ensure lighting placement meets park user needs and lighting aligns with future park infrastructure needs. At this time, a master plan for Four Seasons Park has not been completed, but development of a master plan is anticipated for council consideration in a future year. Option 3 considers not repairing the light fixture and leaving it in place. Leaving the light fixture in place and not removing it does not pose any harm to the community. This option requires no funding commitments and no draws from reserves to impact future projects. The plan would be to remove this light fixture during any future park rehabilitation projects to try and reduce decommissioning costs. Administration recommends option 3, which includes not repairing the light fixture, as it will not draw down critical financial reserves or impact our ability to fund further city priorities and/or unforeseen events. Any draw through reserves would also require adjustment to the reserve replenishment strategy in Budget 2027, which would have a negative impact on tax revenue requirements. Additionally, the cost of repairing the single light fixture is extremely high due to its placement and inaccessibility. Future park planning efforts will consider lighting solutions and improved placement for easier maintenance and repair. That is the end of my presentation. I am open to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewicki. I'm going to go to Councillor Hyde first.
Yeah, thank you very much for that report. The new lighting that would be installed, what's the shelf life of that lighting, the LED?
Through the Mayor to Councillor Hyde, I would anticipate it to be about 25 years, similar to replacing the The technology would be likely similar to what is proposed for the new lighting in the existing structure. Of course, there is no specific design for new lighting. This is a very high-level estimate, so it's possible it could be more, it could be less, depending on the design and lighting requirements.
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering how soon we'd have to get somebody to replace the lights if we did decide to go that route. I would just like to ask, what about security around the lake? I mean, if we don't replace this lighting, we're anticipating more growth, we're anticipating ball diamonds, soccer fields, all of these other things around the lake, and we have no lighting there right now. And if kids decide to go out to the island or whatever in the evening or something like that, there's no lighting, there's nothing out there, sort of an idea. So what is the talk around the safety aspect? That maybe I should be asking the chief that question, because he's involved in this.
I can take a start at it. If Chief Melvin has anything to add, he's welcome to chime in. To the mayor, to Councillor Hyde, overall, we haven't seen a lot of issues pre-2024 versus post-24 when the light went out. We haven't seen a sharp increase that I'm aware of in damage to park infrastructure and so on. I mean, we have seen some damage to some of the wayfinding signage in the park, but I'm not convinced that that's necessarily a result of lighting issues. So I'm not aware of any increase in vandalism or concerns around that due to lack of lighting.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with safety concerns around the lake, people walking the lake, going through the lake, those type of things during the ice and everything like that. If there isn't any sufficient lighting out there, you don't know who's out there. So, and yes, it's on them, but sometimes we do have people that do silly things. So that is one of my concerns as well with not having the lighting around.
Also note that many of our parks aren't lit, so it is something that I think is a nice to have, but it is not something that we have in most of our parks throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Councillor Murray and then Councillor Cole-Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question in regards to the the repair estimate. And it sounds like the work would be to try to switch it over to LED, but have we looked at what if we don't switch it to LED and just remain at the same, maybe there is a little bit of wiring work, but just a simple replacement?
Through the mayor to Councillor Murray, leaving it with the metal hydride type light would not really save any money, and the LED technology is superior to rewiring or bypassing the ballast is not a big deal. The bigger cost revolves around accessing the island, having the equipment to get to the top and replace the units. The technology, whether we use metal hydride or LED, doesn't really impact the cost. In fact, we didn't price out metal hydride, but it's possible it could be even more expensive than the LEDs. LED technology has really come down in price in the last few years.
Yeah. I guess I'm wondering as well, like, is there going to be a different appearance? Is it going to have the same spread of light with LED as well? Like, there are some people that are more sensitive because the LED is really a tiny flashing light. So I myself don't necessarily love LED for every use. So that's why I'm asking, just to see if it is something worth considering on that repair side.
Through the mayor to Councillor Murray, I really can't comment on the quality of light. The anticipation would be that the lighting replacement would result in the same spread of light. That would be the intention behind the replacement. It is possible that the intensity of the light might be slightly different. I doubt it would be exactly the same as the metal hydride technology. There's different intensities of LED lighting that you can purchase. I don't know what that level, those big industrial lights are probably pretty intense. No, they would do the trick and they would be reliable. As to the quality or if they will bother certain people, I really can't comment on that.
Okay, thank you anyways. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Those are great questions. Councillor Colt Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. I too had the question of, could we just change the bulb? But I think you answered that. If we were to go with the LED lights, is there a switch? Like, do we turn this thing off in the middle of the night if it's really bright?
Through the mayor to Councillor Colt Smith, that's a great question. Just a light switch. I believe that current lighting is on a dusk till dawn switch, or actually, no, it's on a timer. So currently it's set at a certain time to come on and a certain time to go off, because I know in the past we have had, when it was operational, there were some complaints coming that it was on too late, or I don't recall the specifics, but we did change the timing. So I believe it's currently on a timer, and we would maintain the same timing as before, because that's what it was. It seemed to be that no one was complaining at that point once we had that specific timing set up. So I think if we did repair the light, we would go with existing timing. And then if we had issues or people were complaining, we could definitely do adjustments to that. That makes sense?
It does. Is that timer also on the island and we need special equipment to get there?
Another good question. I honestly don't know where the timer is. I would have to think that it's not on the island. That wouldn't make a lot of sense, but then having the light there is also a bit challenging. So I'm not sure where the timer is. I don't recall us having an issue changing the timing on it previously or having to access the island to do so. So unfortunately, I don't have a specific answer, but I can find out.
It feels like something that would have stuck out if you had to get onto the island. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you need to take a canoe to turn the light on and off, that would be.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Councillor Natellenbos and then Councillor Penrod.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could maybe get a switch at your place, Mayor, just so that you could turn it on and off.
Control.
Just a quick question on some other options. I know we quoted replacing it on the island, which to me makes zero sense in terms of a new unit. Have we priced out maybe a couple light standards that could go in and around the water, like even solar operated, that would provide lighting as opposed to performing this mission?
Through the mayor to Councillor Natellenbos, basically the estimate provided in option 2 includes lighting that basically goes around the 1 kilometer stretch of pathway around the lake. The issue is, and no, it wasn't solar. Solar could be considered definitely not as reliable as like an electrical connected lighting system. However, putting fewer lights around the circuit would result in significant dead spots in lighting. Obviously, we haven't done a design. This is preliminary pricing. But the fewer lights you put, the more dead spots you have, and essentially then people complain because then you have these intense areas and then you have these very dark areas, and it makes it even worse because you can't see in the dark areas more so than when you go from extreme light to dark, it's even darker than it was if there was no light at all. So that's where, I mean, this is preliminary with enough poles to cover light, that have even lighting around the pathways. So yeah, several lights. I think the intention behind this single light on the island is it was in a position such that it could provide a little bit of light everywhere, and no other location in the park could mimic that light distribution. I think that's why they chose that location. I'm guessing here, but wasn't here for that.
Okay, perfect. And just one other question. Have we considered what it would cost to create a bridge?
I was thinking the same.
Through the mayor to Councillor Natellenboss, we have not talked about a bridge. A bridge doesn't solve our problem because, I mean, unless you put a bridge that would hold a crane or a unit that would require, it would be extremely expensive, I would suspect. I mean, you wouldn't be using a pedestrian bridge here if you had to get that kind of equipment across. To your point, it would probably make more sense to put lighting off the island if we were going to consider that aspect. A bridge also comes with significant maintenance and liability that we have to maintain throughout the years and so on.
Okay, perfect. And sorry, just one last question. So I know you had mentioned we don't want to have any dead zones, but currently there's just one light there. So even if we were to install just one light, would it not mimic, just outside of the island, would it not mimic the same thing that's currently there?
Through the mayor to Councilor Natellenboss, we haven't done a study on that, obviously. This is just my opinion. I feel like you would have more intense light on, I mean, wherever the light sits, you're going to have more light, and then on the other side of the lake is going to be pretty dead. And because of where, just the situation of the houses, if you tried to light that other side, you would actually have light shining into people's yards and windows, and we'd probably get more complaints. I really don't feel that a single light is going to solve the problem, because I feel it's just going to create new problems. That's where, if we're really going to go down that road, having multiple lights that were shining downward would probably be the best option. But as I said previously, that should probably be aligned with a master plan for the park to understand future programming and so on.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm going to go to CAO Schwartz.
Thank you. Back to your original point, Nathan, about Councilor Natellenboss, about have we looked at other options? Tonight's the choice of whether, we give you three options. If you choose to do nothing, like option 3, then we could bring back some options, other options at budget. There's got to be some more economical ways to provide some lighting in parks, because they do it everywhere. We just haven't done that detail of a dive.
Thank you for that, because I was wondering that myself, and I was also wondering, and I'm going to go to you, Councillor Penrod, in terms of, I noticed that you contacted the contractor that worked on before. Did you contact any other companies? Because I know in the last conversation there was some discussion about some companies that do scale a pole, but that wasn't a part of this estimate, so I'm just curious about that.
To the mayor, yes, we contacted multiple companies. No one wants to touch this. No one's interested to do it, or the companies that we contacted. Even the company who did it before was less than interested to take on this endeavor, but they were willing to provide us the price to do it.
Okay, thank you.
So it's not a really desirable job.
I can see that. A lot of options. Okay, if we can just take a few more questions here, and then go ahead, Councillor Penrod.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Two quick ones. My other colleagues have covered a lot of ground here already. The report does talk about a master plan that's contemplated for lighting, or for the whole of Four Seasons Park. There's no timeline or dates associated with that. Can you give us a rough idea on when that work is planned, or does it sit on like a 10-year capital plan, or?
Through the mayor to Councillor Penrod, thank you for the question. At this point, I'd like to think in the next few years we would be putting it in the capital plan. Again, I have to consult with our leadership team on timing. I mean, the capital planning is a team effort. That is something that we had looked at. It is part of the rec master plan. And I do feel that there is benefit to doing planning in the park for future infrastructure needs and programming. So, yeah, I would venture to say the next few years we would see it in the plan.
Yeah, thank you. And then a quick question for Mr. Bahachik. The report does kind of assess a mild risk to dipping into reserves to do this work, whether the relatively small price in option one or the much larger one in option two. Can you just speak to that of, we made some significant progress in budget 2026 with starting the work of replenishing that. What's the risks of starting to dip back into this fund when we have, in this case, real concerns from members of the community that have said they'd like to see this work done? But there's lots of those kinds of projects, right? We have another one coming up as a notice of motion this evening that we're going to have to consider again. So I just thought I'd get your opinion on that here now.
Go ahead.
Through the mayor to Councillor Penrod. So flirting a little bit with opinion on this, but so the amount that we put into reserve through budget 2026 into the operations and stability and contingency reserve was $600,000. When you say that out loud, it seems like that's a lot of money, but really it's not from a municipal operations perspective. Our bare minimum of where we should be in this reserve is $2.5 million. I understand that $30,000 in the context of $600,000 is only 5%, and you're like, oh, what's just 5%? But it's 5% this time, and it's 5% next time, and it's 10% after that, and all of a sudden we haven't put any money away, and we're actually traveling backwards again. So there is the long-term health and stabilization or stability of the organization requires putting money in and not drawing out if possible, right? We have, I don't know what year end has done as far as a surplus deficit position. Maybe there's a deficit already. We're trying to get the numbers. I've been looking for the numbers on snow clearing. Most of it I think was done in January, but if we did any work in December, that potentially impacts our deficit position. Maybe that 600 is actually only 300 right now. And then I take 330,000 out, that's 10% of the balance, right? So it's a slippery slope to make some assumptions about, we did really good, and I applaud, thank you for putting money in. That's one step of many that we need to do in order to get back to fiscal health. If we are tempted to take money out repeatedly, we're doing ourselves a disservice into the future of what we need. And, as we have the rec master plan, we have asset management is something that we're building maturity for. I've stressed that none of our reserves are in optimal range right now. We are doing the bare minimum on asset maintenance and recovery. That 30,000 here is 30,000 of potholes we maybe don't do, or something else from that perspective. And so we need to be allowed some time to develop some maturity in our asset management program, in our funding solution to get there. We are just, as we mentioned through budget, doing the bare minimum of what we need to do to keep the lights on. We want to get better and have better service delivery. It takes money and time, and so that's, again, I come from a fiscal reluctance perspective of trying to keep as much money in the bank, and so this would be something that would impair that.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to go to Councillor Hyde and then Councillor Van Newkirk, and then we'll take a vote on this.
Yeah, I love the fact that you asked the accountant for more money. It's kind of like me going to mom and asking her to give me a little bit more for my allowance when I was 8, but the exact answer that I thought I would get from you. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that we as a council had decided that we were going to use Don Sparrow Lake again this year for skating and for activities on the lake. And so I believe that the lighting is a part of that. Obviously it's getting lighter earlier in the evening right now, but if we're going to continue to allow access to this lake for things like skating, for ice fishing, things like that, the lighting is a part of this. And if we're going to make a commitment to using this lake as one of our rec facilities, basically, then we have to keep it in good repair. And so that's just one thing we need to consider as far as the lighting goes on this lake. The least expensive option in order to have lighting is not lightning. Don't go up there on the tower when there's lightning, but allow it to be fixed so it's usable. And unfortunately, that's where we made the commitment. That's just all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Councillor Van Newkirk.
Yeah, Mayor, I would be prepared to move the recommended motion if we were at that point.
I think so, yes.
Just wait for that to be put up there.
I would like to make a little friendly amendment to it though, or if that's like a secondary with what you talked about earlier, CA Schwartz, in terms of bringing back other options.
Yeah, thank you. Procedurally, how can we accomplish that? Because I agree, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
That would be a subsequent motion. So
A
we would-
subsequent?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll deal with this motion first,
Okay.
and then you can make a subsequent
Perfect.
motion.
Thank you. Yeah, I would move that option 3 is set out in the February 20th, 2026 report, Four Seasons Island options be approved. And just for clarity, option 3 is no repair.
At this point, yeah.
Then I'll speak to that.
Sure.
Yeah, so Councillor Hyde, I think you made a good observation, and I was going to speak to that as well, about the funding of the skating, and I don't think unfortunately, is not going to come to fruition this winter. It doesn't feel like. It's been a really crazy winter. It pains me to make this motion, actually. I wish it would be more cost-effective to fix the light that was there. I can tell that administration has really lifted up, the rocks and looked for some options on what can be done to that, and it's just in a challenging spot. For me, what I would like to see, and I'm glad the mayor has, said that a subsequent motion's coming here, because what I've witnessed in my tours around communities that we're always outside when we go to different communities is that there's effective, decent, good, pick the word out of the thesaurus, solar lighting options these days. And I really think some of that lighting is quite mobile and readily fixable and repairable and lasts pretty well. It may not make it through the whole evening, and maybe that's a good thing, I don't know. But for tonight, option 3, no repair, is what I'm putting forward here, and I would suggest council supports, and I would look forward to a subsequent motion on figuring out some decent, good options for some other light in the park around the walking areas. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Any discussion around that, Councillor Natelmbas?
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Van Newkirk. I do agree, option 3 isn't what I want, but given the weather and everything that's going on, we're probably not going to have much of a skating season. So my recommendation, not as a request, but is review this come budget 2027, some of those options that are potentially proposed, and then it'll align well with the start of the skating season. So that would be my recommendation. So I support this.
All right, any other comments? Okay. Yeah, the same. It's not what we want, but at the same time, I welcome the opportunity to have more options so that we can make this space usable and use it as a place that the community can come and enjoy. So I will support this at this point. So we'll go for a vote. And that passed 6-1. Just looking at my Convero here. I think Councillor Hyde opposed. Okay. So if it's okay with you, Madam Clerk, or would you want me to wait, or should we do a subsequent one now? Okay. I'm not sure if I've captured it properly. That's okay. Councillor Murray, did you want to say something?
I'm just wondering if we could put something in there that suggests like more of a spot-specific type lighting where maybe it wouldn't go around the entire lake? Just as another option in there as well.
So maybe just alternate options for,
Yeah, I just would like to
Lighting.
capture hopefully a little bit more of every option.
I I'm going to just get Councillor Cole-Smith. You want to chime in on this one?
Yeah, thank you. I like this. I'd just like to add that if we're considering other options, that perhaps they include the removal of the current one if we're not planning to replace the lights.
To decommission it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be the extra cost, I think, that he outlined. So I think that's a
Sorry.
whole other
Could I ju-
motion.
Could I just get clarity on that? Because you've been provided with the information on what it would cost to decommission it. So are you looking
was-
to have that reconsidered at budget?
No, the option 2 was to decommission and provide other options for lighting. This is just to provide other options for lighting, and I'd like to capture the decommissioning
In the same thing?
in the same thing.
In the same-
What I want to avoid is having a big ugly pole stuck, sitting there forever in the middle of the island.
So just like he provided option 2 with the decommissioning cost in that option, that's what you're asking for in this particular one, to also include the cost to decommission it. Yes, go ahead, CAO Schwartz.
Yeah, two things if I understand, bring back the cost of the commission at budget, to have that conversation, decommission, sorry. The other is what Mr. Lewicki said is what we would do is take opportunity during further park work to build that in as an option for decommissioning.
Fair enough.
Okay. So we'll just leave it as is and then have a separate cost for decommissioning. Correct? Councillor Murray, did you want to add?
It was just the same.
Same? Okay. All right, so as it is right now, did you want to change the wording on that, Councillor Murray? Is that what you were asking? Let's try that again.
Sorry about that. Yeah, well, my suggestion was to look at options including like maybe partial amounts of the walking path, not just necessarily the entirety of it.
So almost like in stages as well, if we were to provide options in stages of lighting?
Yeah, perhaps something that if we had the lighting in the area where we potentially have the skating and maybe not in the other areas that are surrounding the lake, just for options to see what we can do.
CAO.
Yeah, I think that captures it. I know what you're asking. You're asking, how can we light up that area? How can we light up other areas and bring it back as a sectional? Is it either or?
Okay. All right, we will do this. I make this motion that as part of the 2027 budget deliberations, administration provide alternate options for lighting the Four Seasons Park area, including partial or full areas of the walking path. Any further discussion? Okay, we will go to vote. And carried unanimously. Okay, so I just want to say, as we continue on with our motions here, as you can see, sometimes it takes us a little bit. So I want to suggest that as we go through these motions, that if you want to speak, have a question, maybe two, if it's short and concise, and then if you have more, to come back around to it after other councillors have had a chance to ask a question, because that might be answered, just to give room for everybody. And does that sound fair? Okay, perfect. So we're going to continue on now to our next item, which is Madam Clerk.
Yes, Madam Mayor, sorry. We just need to deal with 6.2 before we move into the motions following notice, please.
Yes, so that's what I said. We're going to go to you, right?
Levi, could you bring up attachment 1, please, on this report? So good evening, Council. I'm Joanne Dargy, the Director of Legal and Legislative Services. Tonight, I'm presenting a report that provides Council with information on a template that's prepared for Council's use on reporting activity and information that occurs in the various boards and committees that they have been assigned to by Council. This is something that we did provide to council during the last term, and it was used intermittently. We've had a few requests from council members about something like this, so I wanted to present it to council as a whole to see if there were any questions about the use of it, the timing of it, or anything like that. If you bring up attachment 2, Levi, this attachment here, attachment 1 is a blank report template. It will be filled in for each individual councillor and will have all of the committee names that you've been assigned to under the committee meeting. And then you would just fill in the dates of the meetings that you attend and provide any notes that you want to publicly provide, because they will be included, these reports will be included in the next council agenda. So when you provide them to us, we'll publish them in the next available council agenda. If there is confidential information that you receive at a board or committee, you are required to keep that information confidential until it's made public. So if you need to update your council members on that, I would suggest that you do so in a closed session, and we have done that most recently when there was an update required. Sorry, Levi, if you could bring up attachment 2, please. Attachment 2 is an example of what a completed council committee report would look like. Councillor Murray was kind enough to provide me with some information from a meeting that she received at the Leduc Regional Housing Foundation. So this is what a completed report would look like. We will provide the individual reports to you by the end of the week, so you can fill them in. They can be emailed back to your executive assistant, Shaima, or to legislative services, and then we will include them, as I said, in the next regular council meeting. Any questions? You can use them as often or as little as you want. There is no requirement. There's nothing legislated that says that you need to use them. This is for your convenience to help with your reporting.
Thank you. Councillor Penrod, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Dargis, and to LLS for providing these templates. I do look forward to using them myself and for the rest of the council to do that. I think this is an area where we can provide some further clarity to the community at large too, of the work that we do beyond the community and within the community with our advisory committees. And with that being said, I'd just like to move that the council committee report template be received for information.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll go into a vote. Carried unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Dargy. Thank you for that. All right, so we're going to move now into our first motion following notice. Councillor Hyde.
Sorry, do I repeat the motion again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, just want to make sure. My motion is that by the end of Q2 2026, administration bring forward proposed amendments to the municipal development plan and any other related plans and bylaws to revise references to a minimum density of 35 dwelling units per residential hectare to 30 dwelling units per net residential hectare. And if I could speak to the motion. So, speaking to this motion, I'm looking for support on my motion as it speaks to what we have already heard from Beaumont's residents about their concerns on density. This motion is just the start of addressing these concerns and will help to give notice that Beaumont is a unique city that will set our own targets when it comes to density. In Beaumont, the current MDP states on page 5, Beaumont will ensure that the development complies with greenfield density of 35 dwelling units per net residential hectare and strive to achieve the goal of intensifying the built-up residential area through a 10% increase in the number of dwellings as per the Edmonton Metropolitan Region Growth Plan. This is mentioned numerous times throughout the MDP and other documents and bylaws pertaining to density and development that reference the Edmonton Region's Growth Plan, such as under item 4.0 of the MDP that states all area structure plans within the future residential area must ensure that they conform to the minimum greenfield density established for Beaumont in the Edmonton Metropolitan Region Growth Plan of 35 dwelling units per net residential hectare. And it goes on and on. The EMRB no longer exists, and Beaumont should not be tied to this standard. Although amending this minimum density target does not mean higher density cannot be built through the consideration with our Planning and Development Department and current bylaws, or rescind development permits already approved, it does give a lower baseline for new developments and density targets, more in line with Devon and Morinville, similar bedroom communities. After careful consideration with the relevant parties, this should not slow down our work with the MDP, Council Strategic Planning, or LUB, but provide new targets to developers and future area structure plans. It sends a clear message to our constituents that we on council hear you and want to start implementing change today. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Any councillors have any questions on this? Councillor Cole-Smith and then Councillor Penrod.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Density was a big topic, obviously. How did you arrive at 30 dwelling units?
I looked across the regions, and I looked at Devon and one other place as well, and then I looked at Kalmar and other areas. There were 25, and I kind of looked at our proximity to Beaumont, or Beaumont's proximity to the Edmonton region, and also the communities that are similar to us in nature as a family development or family community, and that's where I ended up at the 30.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Penrod and then Councillor Tellenbos.
Thanks, Mayor. Councillor Hyde, just further to Councillor Cole-Smith's questions, I think you alluded to this in your opening statement, but if you could just give us some more clarity. So you talked that you've done some consulting on this with the relevant authorities or parties, so that this, anticipating the question that we would have of like, is this going to create a wrinkle in the larger kind of more global work that we're doing? We've got queued up for our LUB and our MDP work. Do you want to speak further to that?
Yeah, that's correct. When I was putting together my notice of motion, I wanted to make sure that I was speaking to our economic development and other parties that are involved within all of these different aspects. And I wanted to capture everything as opposed to just one section or something. That's why it's more general as opposed to just pertaining to the MVP or anything like that. I want to make sure that we could bring this in as a number and it wouldn't disrupt a lot. And I was pretty confident after those meetings that this shouldn't disrupt our path going forward.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the motion in hand gives some clear direction, but ultimately directs administration to go back, do some work, bring the number to 30, and bring us back those, the amendments. And so we could have further discussion and debate on that at that time.
Yeah, that's correct. They would be bringing this back to say, okay, this is what we can do. And they wouldn't be able to pull the Edmonton Regional AMRB right out of everything, but this could set lower density targets because it's a number as opposed to pertaining to a now defunct institution.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tellenbos.
Thank you. I guess just looking for a little information from administration. Obviously, if we're just reducing the minimum density, there's still the opportunity for developers to hit the 35, the 40, the 50, the 60, the 80, whatever it is. So how will this really change anything?
Minimum. No. Yeah, that's a good catch with the minimum, not the maximum.
Yeah,
You want to speak to that, CAO Schwartz?
Yeah, I'm not a planner, so I can't outline the details. It's one of the reasons in a case like this, a report is useful, so we can bring back the data. But you're right. If my understanding, if we're going from 35 to 30, there's still going to be pockets where higher densities can be approved in that section, as long as they meet the 30 per hectare.
If I could speak to that. So again, this isn't perfect. This is just a starting point. This is, for me, it's a jump off point. So if we bring this down and we're telling developers, okay, we're now at 30, not 35, it now brings that option down just a little bit and says, okay, we're saying that we're going to set our own density targets, the ones that aren't set by the MRB, and then we can bring them down. And now we're being unique to Beaumont, although Devon is similar. But it's just a base point. There is a lot of work we need to do, and I didn't want to bog down all of that work with trying to do a lot more with this. This is just a starting point. And I know this isn't going to stop anything. There's a lot of maximums I want to put into place, a lot of things that we need to look at with the different master plan and everything like that. This is, again, just a starting point to say, hey, we're bringing our density targets down. We're doing something.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess just a question. I'm almost thinking that we should defer this motion until we have someone present from the Planning and Development Department, just because there's a lot of questions that I don't think can be answered. I don't know what the process would be for that, but I wouldn't be comfortable voting on this without the information.
You want to speak to
Just from a process perspective, and I'm reading the motion, what it's asking to do is bring those amendments back, and at that point in time, you would have an opportunity to debate whether you're going to implement them or not. So I think you're going to get the best of both, Councillor Natellenbos, because we will definitely have planners in the room when we come back with this.
I would
that
like to
helps.
say that I did consult planning and development before I put this ahead. So it wasn't just me putting this through. I mean,
No, for sure. And I think just the questions I have is the concern is our maximum density. And should we be setting a target on that as opposed to the minimum density? Because we're too densified, I agree 100%, and it's not the route that Beaumont residents want to go. I just don't know that this will provide the solution that we're actually looking for. Where we don't have a cap on maximum density would be more my concern and would be the proposal that I would want to see put forward. But again, I would need someone from planning and development to answer that question.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. I was thinking the same thing. So I'm going to go to Councillor Murray and then Councillor Van Newkirk.
Thank you. Mayor, I just wanted to sort of remind council that in, I believe, December, I had put through a motion similar to this, sort of talking about how do we develop and make transitions between single-family dwellings and the more dense areas. So I think that actually will complement what you're trying to do here very nicely, because as you said, it's like a starting off point or several steps to just making sure that we get it right. That one, I believe, is also coming at the end of Q2. So I do support this and get some information on that back. Yeah. Thanks.
Councillor Van Newkirk.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to point out, similar to Councillor Natellenbos, that what I would say is this is kind of maybe a piece to the puzzle. And, as identified, there's no maximums in here, but this also doesn't preclude the fact that an area, pick an area that bothers a resident that's currently too dense in their view in Beaumont. This doesn't change the ability to do that. That can still occur. So I just want to be very clear with that. That being said, this is a piece looking for information, and tonight I'll support look at information, because I think this will also, as Councillor Murray said, provide maybe a stepping off point to the motions that have been also put forward around what other things can we do in the meantime while we're getting organized for the MDP and LUB work that might affect some of the changes more quickly that the community is looking for. So I do think this complements it. I'd rather not throw a dart at a number, but Councillor Hyde, what I respect is we have to start somewhere, and you've put that somewhere forward. So I'll support this motion tonight from the view of getting the information together to have a more robust conversation around if this is the right thing to do or not. So that's where my head's at on it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Newkirk. Councillor Netelenbos?
Perfect, thank you. I guess I just have a quick question for Councillor Hyde. I traditionally don't like modifying or friendly amendments to motions, but if you'd be willing, could you also have administration explore a maximum cap as well in this report?
Yeah, I did put through a notice of, for information as well, and I just received that this evening. So that'll be shared with everybody as far as some of the targets that are in different areas and how that works with it. And I need to explore that a lot better as to how to come up with a maximum number. You know, it is different for each area. Like Colonial doesn't have a population percentage density target, sort of an idea, but Azure does, and different areas do. And I'm happy to share that information with you, and I'm sure that legal can do this as well, because it's different. It's different in every different area from what I'm seeing. Is that correct, Ms. Sturgis?
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. From what I've seen in the information that was provided back on the Councillor inquiry, yes, there's different density targets for each development area. So for each area structure plan, those different density targets are included in their population density tables, which were provided as part of the Councillor inquiry you made.
Correct. So if we wanted to go to maximums, we have to go almost to each one of those area structure plans and then look at what their maximums would be, and it would require a tremendous amount of work to do that. And I think that would slow down what we're trying to achieve with the MVP and with all that kind of stuff and that type of work. I think that when we go into that, when we look at our different areas, we can certainly do that later on, but this again is just starting the base. Do I want to put maximum on? 100%. But when we start to look at the information, it's a lot more work to put in the maximums than it is to just get this starting point started.
I thank you for that. I just don't understand the purpose of this. Why not make it 10 would be my question. Just out of curiosity, like I just need that information.
And I get it. I understand that completely. All I'm trying to do is say, look at, you know what, Beaumont residents, we understand that you're not happy with where this is. If we set this a little lower to 30, and I'm only looking at it because of Devon and Morinville, the 30. I'm trying to look at this and say, hey, future developers that are coming into Beaumont, we have now set it down to 30. So if you're looking to do a development in Beaumont where it's 30 instead of 35, we can allow you to do that now. So it just gives a little bit more wiggle room. It sends a little bit more out to our developers saying, hey, you know what, if you want to do 30, we can just do 30. We don't have to go to 35. And that's kind of where I'm at. Just a little bit less, just to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to bring it down. And again, it's a stopgap measure. I know that. I'm not immune to the fact that I don't want maximums. I'm not immune to the fact that this won't stop a large development if it gets through our bylaws and our planning. But at least it sends a message saying we want to bring down our density targets, and that's all I'm trying to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Just a quick question for administration. In terms of process, am I able to add a subsequent motion that is asking for a report or proposed amendments on a maximum cap as well?
On a motion, sorry, Councillor Netelenbos, thank you for that question. On a motion following notice, no, you would have to make a notice of motion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that clarification.
All right, if there's no more questions, do you want to speak to it, or you?
No, I'm good to go. I think that everybody knows where I'm coming from.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Councillor Goldsmith, go ahead.
I jumped in. I know we've talked about this a lot, and I know it doesn't address the max. I heard that the 30 was obtained by looking at comparable municipalities or others in the area. Considering where we were before the current land use bylaw came in, some of our current neighborhoods are around, I think it was 17 to 18 units per residential hectare. And if we're looking for information, like, would you be open to lowering that down to say 25, kind of halfway between where we were and where the other municipalities are?
I certainly would be, considering the fact that if we go to a minimum of 25, that still doesn't stop development from happening for over and above that. Going to the 25, and I thought that 30 might be a little bit too high as well. I wanted to go down there, but I was just considering other neighboring communities. but I would certainly consider 25 definitely approachable because it gives us, again, a lower baseline, and then we can go up from there.
All right, so is that a friendly amendment that you want to make, that you're?
Yeah, so I'd be willing to make that amendment to 25 instead of 30.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're asking for information as to where we can actually do this in Beaumont, right?
Right, that puts us in line, just so everybody knows, with Kalmar, Thorsby, these type of communities, those are the ones that are at the 25, just to give a baseline for everybody else's information. That's where that 25 would put us.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was in conversation with some other mayors in other communities who have the high density, who are now looking at going exactly what we're doing, because of the fact of the need for and the community desire to have those bigger lots. So I would support this. So Councillor Tellenboss and then Councillor Van Newkirk. And then we're going to take a vote.
Perfect. I mean, I'll support this motion, but I don't think it's going to achieve what people are thinking it's trying to achieve. So that's going to be the downfall here. Again, you can set the minimum, but a developer can come in and well exceed that minimum, right? So I don't know that we're achieving what we want to achieve, but I'll support it. I do have one question though for administration, if you're able to answer. Obviously, EMRB had set these targets originally, and I forget the acronym right now, but basically working with our counterparts in terms of regional partners. Do we anticipate any change? I know we can't predict the future of something similar to EMRB coming back or working with our regional neighbors to come up with a number that's across the board kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have not been part of any conversations that are even going down that road, and maybe the mayor can chime in as well. There is an entity out there by volunteer participation. So far they've had one meeting. So the next steps are going to be to identify areas in the region that we might want to look at stuff. But I have not heard any appetite for dictating densities.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Van Newkirk.
Yeah, thank you. What I would ask or suggest might be adding the word "or" to this. I know wordsmithing this is kind of annoying, but 25 or 30. And the reason I say that is because when I pull up the actual previous EMRB document, Beaumont was at 35, along with Leduc County, like the residential part of it, Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, Leduc, Fort Sask. That was all 35. The next group down was 30, which was Devon and Morinville. We look different, we feel different, and we're going to be different than Devon and Morinville. When we step back down to 25, that group was Kalmar, Lamont, Bonaccord, Bruderheim, Gibbons, Legal, and Redwater. I don't think that's who we're going to become. So I think it's important to explore what 25 or 30 would look like. And so that's what I would ask Councillor Hyde if he would consider that friendly. Is that still friendly? 25 or 30, because then that just broadens the information gathering.
Yeah, I think this is all optics. When we're looking at developers coming into the city, when we're looking at that kind of thing, this is all optics. And when they're seeing that we want to bring down our density targets, it gives them a baseline. If we start at 40, they goes to 60. It's just like speed limits. You set a speed limit of 100, they go to 110, right? So this is where I'm trying to get to, is where do we put the base, right? Sort of an idea, because anything above that base is what we start to consider. You put it at 40, they're going to, like I said, they're going to go 60. You put it at 35, they're going to go 45, right? So really, honestly, it's all about the optics and what we're trying to communicate to the developers and everything like that. So I have no problem with 25. What did you say? 25 or 30?
230.
230, 25, 230. But really, honestly, and I understand what Councillor Tellenboss said. Is it achieving what we need to achieve? Not until we really get into the MVP and everything else. Absolutely not. But it does show optically what we're trying to achieve.
I think Councillor Van Newkirk said "or," right?
Or 25 or 30, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that, because optically, what am I trying to say to the developers? that we're bringing down our density targets, right? So, and that's really what I'm trying to achieve here is what does Beaumont want? That's really where I'm at.
And Mayor, all I would say is that, like, a few times in the past, I've picked a starting point to something, and sometimes that's hard, and that's kind of why I shared with Councillor Hyde, like, I'll support this, because you've picked a starting point, you're trying to figure out where to start, and that's not easy sometimes, so, so my support is there, so thank you.
Awesome, yeah, and we're gathering information as where it's possible so that we can go from there. Thank you for that. So we're going to go into a vote. I think we've had a lot of discussion about it and questions. Thank you, Councillor Hyde. All right, take a vote. And that carried unanimously. I'm going to suggest we take a 5-minute break before we continue on. So we'll come back with that clock, 7:38. So we're going to continue on here. And we are currently at motion, item number, I should say, 6.4, and this is Councillor Natel.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move that by the end of Q2 2026, administration bring forward proposed amendments to the municipal development plan and any other related plans and bylaws to revise to a minimum density. Yeah. I'll take it.
Oh, that's a notice of motion.
No, that was his motion.
So are we doing the one on the loading parking? Okay, that is 6.4, so let's do that one. And then we'll go to the notice of motion later. It was just labeled wrong, I think. Exactly, 6.4.
But the text of the motion is not correct. I just need to replace that.
Okay,
If it's okay, we can move to 6.5.
sure,
Moving things along, and I'll get that.
sure,
Okay.
that's fine. So we'll go to Councillor Penrod.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to help. I move that by the end of Q2 2026, administration provide a report to council on amending the traffic safety bylaw to remove the delegation of authority to the chief administrative officer for setting speed limits within city limits, including current legislative and bylaw framework, any history or decisions of council prior to the current bylaw on the delegation of this authority, operational safety and liability implications, impacts on consistency and responsiveness of speed limit changes, a jurisdictional scan of regional municipal practices, and proposed bylaw amendments. And if I can speak to it?
Yes,
Mayor?
please do.
Thank you. So I'm looking for support from council tonight on this motion that we already know exists broadly across the community. Since the speed limit on 50th Street north of 510 was changed in the summer of 2024, we've heard fairly constant questions and criticisms of that decision. In that time, it's notable to me that the sentiment hasn't died down or changed much. When I compared that to what I've heard about previous speed-related decisions, questions and concerns that flared up for a time and then seemed to resolve or calm down again, the concern on 50th Street and this speed limit persisting stands out for me. So the questions and concerns continue, and frankly, I don't think that we've had an adequate answer for folks, either as council or as administration. I think these community concerns warrant us having another look at this decision, but given the current delegation of that authority to the CAO, this motion will need to pass before we can do that. Last thing I'd like to say here before we get into some healthy debate is that I did look at options that would have been more direct. Any of us could have timed a motion on this topic to bring an amendment to the traffic safety bylaw more directly. I've opted here for an approach, not unlike Councillor Hyde's from earlier, that will bring a report and allow for council to carefully consider whether or not that is the step we would indeed like to take. As I've already said, I think taking another look at the speed limit on 50th is warranted, but I won't go so far as to presume council's ultimate decision if and when we get to that point. In every decision we make, there are trade-offs made, and I've heard it pretty clearly from my council colleagues that no one in this council would trade the safety of our residents lightly. So the motion before you attempts to acknowledge persistent community concern, to revisit a decision that many feel is unwarranted. If it passes, it will also provide council with all the necessary information we will need to make a wise decision based squarely in good governance principles. I think getting that piece right is worth taking a little longer to go about our business here. I hope to gain your support tonight, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Penrod. So again, just to remind councillors, if we could keep it to one question and then we'll come back around. We just want to make sure other councillors have time. Go ahead, Councillor Tellenbos.
Thank you. Just a quick question for Councillor Penrod. Just reading this, I'm just trying to get a better understanding. It sounds like we're attempting to revoke the DOA from the CAO. Who would be the alternate individual that be transferred that DOA, or what is your thought process behind that?
Yeah, in my reading, although this would actually come back in the proposed bylaw amendments to be more clear, but if council revokes that delegation, it's actually a council authority. And so council has seen fit to delegate that to the CAO. And the intention of this is to ask all the questions we need to before we would take that authority back as council. You may recall, this was something brought up to me by a resident. A few years back, there was long protracted debates among Edmonton City Council around the move to set lower speed limits in neighborhoods. And the resident was reflecting like, that was healthy debate and it was council that had it. And maybe that's what we need to have here again.
Perfect. So just for clarity, the intent is to give that authority back to council.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hyde?
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing this forward. My question is around liability at this point. If we're going to take this on to council as opposed to from the CEO, and this might be for legal, what type of liability would there be on council to take back this authority on these type of matters?
Councillor Hyde, we would bring that back as part of the report with the amendments, the proposed amendments.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So yeah, again, this is a report that we're asking for, right? Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Van Nieuwkerk?
Yeah, Councillor Penrod, it's apparent you've done a lot of work as you work to bring this forward. You have identified a pain point in the community, and this would be the option that completely swings CAO authority right back to council authority, and this would contemplate what that could look like. Sitting here tonight knowing what I know, I don't support that switch. Tonight, I will support the report that arms us with better information, and I think will tell us the reasons we probably don't want to do that. I support this motion tonight, and as I've said before, I reserve the right to change my mind, but tonight that's where I'm at, and I'm happy to support the motion. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions, so Councillor Penrod, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, just briefly in responding to Councillor Van Nieuwkerk. Yeah, exactly. I'm actually not 100% convinced that I would want council to retake that, but I do think we owe the community a full look at why that delegation was done years back, and if that still serves the community at large, and so that we can make the decision with eyes wide open. Last thing we would want to do, to Councillor Hyde's point, is stumble into something that exposes ourselves or the community to other risk. And ultimately, it's about getting to better decisions that we can defend more readily to the residents, right? That's what this whole process is about.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we will go into a vote. And again, this is for bringing back the report, and that is 6-1 with Councillor Hyde opposed. Okay, and Madam Clerk, okay, we are ready for this one, so Councillor Tellenbos.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I move that by the end of Q2 2026, administration install a designated loading-only stall on 52nd Ave adjacent to Centreville Park to facilitate short-term drop-off and pickup access for park users, including individuals with mobility challenges, with the cost of installation to be funded through municipal reserves.
Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, and if I'm pictures, if I could just share that. I'll also speak to the cost of this, share that. I'll also speak to the cost of this. This was a guesstimate that's around $600 to get the signage in place, so very minimal impact on the reserves.
You're going to speak to it with the pictures?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. So just to get a clear understanding, highlighted in pink there is the section on 52nd Ave. It also is a right turning lane or potentially could be a turning lane. So currently individuals, assuming they're 5 meters from the intersection, are able to park there, and it creates a lot of traffic buildup. So one of the concerns was you can't turn right when a vehicle's parked there. You got to wait and pull ahead of the vehicle. And the example in the bottom picture there is a truck who's parked there, blocking that right lane turn. By putting it as a loading zone, yes, there's still a potential for a vehicle to be there, but much shorter time span. And if we just move down to the next page, please. Here are just some shots of the access or limited access to the park. Obviously, this relates to snow right now and some of the buildup that we have there. But it's very difficult to access that park if you have mobility challenges. There is one handicap spot there, but that's for the businesses as well, so that's taken up a lot of the time. So again, difficult to access the park. If we just scroll down to the last photos there, or the ones in between. One more, sorry. I think the middle one there. I just want to show the access point. Bit difficult to see, but you can see just in the picture, the top picture, very easy access to get to the park. Pretty straightforward motion. I hope I can have your support on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tellenbos. Any questions, comments? Particular location, is there a reason why this location and not others in terms of access or for mobility?
This is just an area where there's vehicles frequently parked there. I think the other bigger issue is the right turns. And I also didn't want anything that was on the main road again, just if you're dropping off someone and it's easier access. So it's a nice, let's say, quiet location compared to some of the other ones.
Because it already has a pathway up there anyway,
Correct.
right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. CEO, did you want to say something?
Just a comment that we wouldn't need to reserve fund this, Councillor Tellenbos. We can find it if you want to drop that from here, or leave it, and then we'll just operational fund it anyway.
Okay, so we will, okay, Councillor Tellenbos? Give it again?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'll call it cost savings, but yeah, I'll drop it from the motion if I can, please. So I'll just modify it to not include funding from reserves.
All right, so we'll just wait for that edit, and if there's no other questions or comments, then we will go to a vote as soon as we get the motion up. Perfect. So do you want to just read out the edited?
Yes, so just a slight change is it will actually be funded through the 2026 operational funds.
Okay, so we're going to go to a vote. And that carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue on now to the next one, which is 6.6. And this is a motion following a notice that by the end of Q2 2026, administration provide a report to council on potential options, implications, and costs associated with implementing a 2-hour on-street parking limit in Centreville between the hours of 9 and 6 p.m. This has come about because of numerous conversations with business owners in the Centreville area, extending to beyond that. So 50th Street from about 52nd Ave up to and even down to 49th for that matter, and then one block over. Because of the difficulty in a lot of customers being able to find parking, that people park on the street all day and they're not necessarily customers. They may be people who live in or work in a neighboring area or something. And so the request was if we could put something in place to be able to limit the time that people park on the street so that customers actually have a place to park. And so this would help support the businesses for one, but also alleviate some of the pressure of the traffic in the area and the parking for customers. Many business owners indicated that they had customers come to them and say, you know, we haven't been coming because we have a hard time parking. And so I'm just wondering what is the opportunity that we have here to support our businesses, and as a city, I think we're going to have to look at this more and more, and why not start in the Centreville area? So I'll open it up for any questions or comments. Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned mostly 50th Street, but also a block over. Do you want to be a little more specific in this motion, I'm wondering, to sort of illustrate that, or you're looking for a general statement about the Centreville?
That's a good observation, if that helps in terms of the precision of the report, for sure. So I've spoken to business owners down on 49th, where the eye care clinic is there, and then over to 51st Street. So that whole area of Centreville, where there's a number of businesses, and so it would be 52nd Avenue, so 50th Street from 52nd Avenue to about 49th Avenue, and then over to 51st Street would be the predominant area. That we would look at having some signage or look at the potential of doing that. 52nd Street, 52nd Avenue to 49th, and then over to 51st Street.
But really, 49th Avenue would be only 51st Street, because there's
No 50th as well, because of the eye care clinic as well.
on
The naturopathy and the eye care clinic.
Okay, so,
Right there.
but there's not any parking on 50th there right now?
No, I'm sorry,
So
I'm
just
sorry.
going on the other direction?
Yes, you're correct, not 50th Street, yes,
Okay.
thank you for that. So it would be 49th, yeah.
Okay,
So kind of down that square.
okay.
Does that
Yeah,
make sense? Sure. Okay, it costs us to implement 2-hour on-street parking limits along 50th Street from 52nd to 50th, I would say there, because you can't park on 50th Street beyond that, right? And then over to 51st Street, down from 50th Avenue to 49th, inclusive. 51st Street, from 50th Avenue down to 49th, inclusive, kind of like that whole block there.
Inclusive, yeah.
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 Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to go to Councillor Penrod and then Councillor Hyde.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. It sounds like you've done quite a lot of thinking here, and I know from some other information requests and other motions that you're bringing, that this is much on your mind and you're consulting with the business community. You've zeroed in here on the 2-hour limit piece. It seems to me that there'd be a range of options. I'm just wondering, maybe in your research you've eliminated some options, or why have you zeroed in so closely?
It's arbitrary. I mean, this is again just getting a report, like the final motion, depending on how this comes back, may look differently in terms of the time. There could even be no overnight parking, or, you know, something like that. Could even be a 1 hour. I'm just thinking of, for example, the restaurants or cafes. Often people stay longer than an hour.
Yeah.
Or going to get their hair done or anything like that. So
Yeah, I'm not
2 hour. Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the 2 hour. It just seems to me like zooming out a little bit to consider what the most effective options might be would be, in my mind, helpful to see back in a report. So maybe administration could comment. Is there room within this motion as it stands to kind of return more options, or would this report simply turn, if it's successful, simply focus on the 2 hour on-street parking limit?
Can I just interject here so thank you for the question, Councillor Penrod. I think the essence of really what I want is the cost of putting in signage and the implication of that if we were to do something like that. What the timing at this point can vary, 1, 2, 3 hour. So if you're okay with that, I'm thinking of more the cost and the implication.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing that I had thought is that whether or not we want to consider it or it would be our preferred option is paid parking would be something else to explore. And if that were contemplated, then at least we could kind of make a decision about what's the best. I just wonder about this. Seems like it would come with an increased cost to enforce it. Like the limits are only going to be helpful if they're enforced.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, with that, I would welcome that in terms of paid parking option as well. The cost of that, for sure.
Yeah, so just looking to administration as far as how to have this motion kind of broaden out to include more options than simply signage for 2 hour on-street parking limits.
So maybe just simply putting in a paid parking option,
Yeah, it could be as simple as including that.
metered parking or something.
Sorry, if I may, right now the motion just reads potential options, so it doesn't specifically say signage. It does say means different options, from signage to options maybe that we might be able to consider.
Perfect, yep. Thanks, that gives me the clarity that I need. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah. Councillor Hyde.
Oops. Oh, I'm on now. Thank you. So, being a business owner with a storefront downtown, I have heard many complaints about the parking in Saunterville, obviously, over the years. I think what the mayor is trying to get to here is there is residences downtown now that are above buildings and above shops, and they're taking up those parking spaces that are very coveted on 50th Street. There is 2 private parking lots, actually 3 in there. So you've got the one by the health center, you've got the one at the ATB, you've got places like that. If you put in paid parking or metered parking, this would probably make it very difficult on those private parking spots, because then they have to get security to keep people honest from the paid parking. I think the spirit of this is to try to protect the parking for our downtown businesses. And that's where it comes from, is basically if somebody wants to stop at Jeff's Cafe for a coffee and has no place to park because a resident is parked there, we're not doing our businesses justice down in Saunterville. So I think that's where the spirit of this is to make sure we protect those businesses and allow them to have patrons that park downtown, and not somebody that's taking advantage of a parking spot that they don't have to pay for because they live in the residences right above the shops in Saunterville. So I will support this motion, and hopefully it will come back and we'll see some good things come out of it.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. I don't see any more mic's lit up here, so I'm not going to say too much more. I think I've explained my reasoning behind this and exactly what you were saying, Councillor Hyde, in terms of just supporting the businesses. What can we do to make it easier for them to be able to get traffic in their doors? And I think this is a way that as a city we need to start looking at this anyway. So I hope you can support this. We're going to go to a vote. And that carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we're going to continue on here to two more left. Councillor Van Newkirk.
Thank you. Tonight, I move that by the end of Q2 2026, administration provide a report to council regarding the potential inclusion of a school resource officer position in the 2027 budget deliberations, including results of engagement with Beaumont school boards to identify their needs and expectations related to such a position, potential cost-sharing arrangements with school boards, and any other relevant financial and operational considerations. So I'll speak to
Go
that.
ahead, speak to it, please.
Yeah, Council, tonight I'm asking for your support to begin the discussion and information gathering to support the eventual inclusion of a school resource officer in our upcoming budget. It is now February, but I know that time passes quickly. I believe it is important to begin this work now, which includes important conversations with school boards. I do see this as a first step in a bit of a process that's going to take us through to the eventual goal of funding a school resource officer with the support of our important partners in the upcoming budget. I think it is important to do this with the financial support of the school boards, and we need to know what that could look like soon, and this motion directs that engagement work to occur. You'll notice the aggressive timeline of the end of Q2 for that reason. What I would also add is that in our recent committee of the whole discussion with the RCMP, I did ask a very direct question, and is it time for a school resource officer in Beaumont? And the very succinct answer was yes. So I think we need to end up there, and this starts the work to talk to our partners about sharing funding, figuring out what that could look like, bring a report back so that we can continue the discussion. And the Q2 allows us some time to work with that, work with what comes back to try and get there. So tonight, that's the support I'm looking for, and this is the conversation I'm hoping to start. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Newkirk. Councillor Netelmbas.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor, for bringing this forward. I really, a lot of people understand, obviously, the benefits that come with a school resource officer. It's not a new concept. I think it dates back to 70s in Edmonton when it had started, and the community policing that comes with it, and the ability for students to have comfort to approach officers should there be any bullying. That trust that they develop with that officer is really you can't put a value on it. So 100% look forward to seeing this and hopefully approving it come budget time. But we'll start with this. Thank you.
Councillor Murray. Whoops, no, okay. No other questions, comments? Okay. If you want to speak to it again, you can. Okay, all right, we'll go to a vote. And that carried unanimously. All right, we have one more motion, and then that's to you again, Councillor Van Newkirk.
Thank you. I move that by the end of May 2026, administration bring forward relevant bylaw amendments to prohibit temporary tents from being erected in front yards or over front driveways on private property within residential districts. I'll speak to that.
Yes, please.
Council, tonight I'm asking for your support on this motion, and I'll keep this one fairly simple. First, I will point out that there are some limits that currently exist guiding the use of these types of tents and structures in front yards. The intent here is to look a little bit further to examine and strengthen the prohibition of these types of structures in front yards. The opportunity for more robust discussion, should there be any, would be available by the end of May 2026 with complete information. My intent with this timing of May 2026 would be to have any of these changes in place and enforceable soonest following receiving that information. Humbly ask for your support on this motion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing this forward. Councillor Tellenboss.
Just a quick question for Councillor Van Newkirk. I know you mentioned front yards. Is there any concern about these now just being put in backyards?
I'll go again.
Yeah, I think that that could be. However, my intent here was, my thought was, backyards are less disruptive than front yards. That's my thought. And commonly, there are tents type structures, gazebo type structures, and that in your backyard. And sometimes they're put up for like random things, and it's in the backyard. It's not in the front yard facilitating activities that are prolonged in the front area. So I don't know, that's the best way I can answer that question.
Perfect, thank you.
Good question, Councillor Hyde, and then Councillor Cole-Smith.
Yeah, I guess just some clarification on this around what is a tent. Is it a celebratory tent? Is this a tent that somebody is parking a vehicle under temporarily because they don't want to, they're working on it or something like that? Like, there's a lot of different reasons for putting a tent up. You could have a tent out in the front yard so your kids don't get sunburn or something like that. So I just think that there has to be a little bit more interpretation here, as opposed to, is it a celebratory tent? Is it for 20 by 20 tent? Because people put tents up for different reasons. So I just think that there has to be a little bit more clarification on what you're looking for here, as far as what type of tent you mean by that. I guess, if I could say, is it celebratory, or is it, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of have or is it under my vehicle or my quad?
Mayor? Yeah, so I think that would be contemplated in what comes back. Typically, when a bylaw comes back for review, it'll review some scenarios and types, and I think the opportunity for that discussion comes then, because my personal answer, Councillor Hyde, would be all tents. No tents in the front yard. That's my personal opinion. But the guidance here of potential bylaw amendments with some review of those types of considerations, what you just asked, I think that's the intent of this one. So,
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't past tense. Ooh.
Oh, gong. All right.
I caught that.
It's getting late. Councillor, sorry, he's getting cheeky over there.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate where you're going with this. I think I understand your intent. I agree with it. I'm just curious, with the spirit, like, no tents in the front yard, the word temporary there seems to be extraneous. Is there any objection to taking that out? I think it would actually help the motion.
Yeah, I would consider that for sure, if we could strike out the word temporary.
Thank you.
Previously, I had considered event or temporary or rental or, like any any prefacing word, but yeah.
It's tense. Yeah, I agree. Thanks.
All right, see no more comments or questions. Did you want to close?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, we will vote. And that carried unanimously. All right, well done, Council. We got through those. And the next up is, do we need to make a motion to receive the information CAO update, or information only?
So this will be the CAO's verbal update. The information that was provided in the
Okay.
agenda was last last council meeting's update.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And my apologies for last week. I was looking at my computer and not at the screen, not realizing that it was the previous week's, your package. So It is in front of you. I'll just hit some highlights, obviously, and the mayor recognized this at the last meeting, that we're celebrating Black History Month in Beaumont. It's a time to recognize and honor the incredible contributions of Black Canadians from the early pioneers in Amber Valley and Campsie to the vibrant community shaping Beaumont today. Take a moment to pause, learn, and reflect, and continue working together to build a more inclusive community for all. February 16th, Family Day celebrations at the BSRC. That's a very popular day here in the community with so many young families. So a number of things going on. I urge you to get out and have some fun. Chantal Berube Youth Center, they're adding 4 new laptops for the use in January, made possible through a generous donation from the Beaumont Dream Cruisers Car Club. So that's pretty cool. ELCC and the School Age site. Every December, the School Age site hosts a winter carnival to connect with families, have fun, and raise funds to support these needing extra help during the winter. Families enjoy simple carnival games, pick-up time with tickets purchased through monetary or food bank donations, along with hot chocolate, cookies, and crafts, and prizes for the kids. We're continuing on here. We have used the money raised at our winter carnival so that we can purchase different gifts from the catalog, support Adopt a Team, and you can see a number of very good charities. This year we made a cash donation of $106.75, so good job all the volunteers and all the people who participated in that. IT continues to advance several modernization initiatives across the organization. The city server hosting was replaced in January, improving performance and resiliency. Targeted network equipment replacement was completed at the BSRC to strengthen network and wireless reliability, and AI-assisted wireless tuning and optimization was implemented to enhance coverage, performance, and user experience in high-density places. I have no idea what I just said, but Joey does, so that's important. And of course, we do have a report coming back on cybersecurity and what systems we have in place. Planning and development, the e-permitting project, something that's very popular to this council, is underway, and the RFP to select a vendor is currently posted on APC. So we hope to have a vendor in place and begin configuring the new system in Q2 of 2026. The unseasonably warm weather has revealed a proliferation of unsightly construction sites. Planning and development is currently undertaking enforcement measures for properties that are not in compliance with their development permit or the land use bylaw, including fines and stop orders. I believe we've listed over 35 fines. I've issued over 35 fines, and they have 48 hours to clean these up, or we will move in and stop the work. Transit, starting March 1st, seniors and students non-UPass will no longer buy separate monthly passes for transit. They will use the ARC fare system, already used by other standard riders in the region, and they will see the same monthly senior student rates. This eliminates the need to purchase separate passes and will be more convenient for riders to reload their cards or accounts online, by phone, or in person. There's no change to the eligibility or cap monthly rate for seniors or student riders. Simply means that the riders no longer need to purchase separate passes each month. ProMat will do some communication out there on the buses and at the Transl terminal, so people understand the changes, including updating the website and providing key messages for frontline staff, so people have any questions, we'll be able to answer them. There'll be reminders on post media and so on. Social media. The Clean Energy Improvement Program launches on March 24th. This program helps homeowners finance energy-efficient renewable energy upgrades for residential properties. The program offers flexible, low-interest financing that covers upfront project costs. CIAP is administered by the Alberta municipalities. Beaumont residents can apply for eligible projects starting March 24th, and there is no cost to the City of Beaumont or the taxpayer. This is a provincial program. Snow removal, we are happy to say that as of today, we have cleared all 116 kilometers of our paved roads, which covers our priorities 1 to 5. Despite the extreme snowfall in late December and the complex freeze thaws and increased ice accumulations, the team is on track to complete the citywide operation this Thursday, February 12th. This represents a full residential cycle completed in about 6 weeks. You see some stats there on the volume of snow, about 1,000 cubic meters. I love those numbers. It's a 15-kilometer convoy of trucks. Drainage is huge this time of year. You can see 157,000 meters. We're now going to move into street sweeping, and to get some of that collected up is very equivalent to in driving all the way to Jasper Park gates. Trucks and de-icing, you can see the figures on tons of sand. One of the figures that was thrown out at us was somewhere in the 700,000, equivalent of 700,000 5-foot tall snowmen. So you get a little vision. That's what our snow pile has right now. Potholes with snow removal completion today. The road will transition into temporary repairs and cold patching. And when things warm up, we'll get into, and dry up, we'll get into hot patching of the potholes. So we're still anticipating, as the second bullet says, winter number 5 or whatever people call it here. So that's coming through up until March. But what they do start, they're transitioning into summer at the beginning of March as far as getting equipment checked out and transitioning into different spring and summer activities. We gave a handout to council when they did their facility tour last Tuesday, which was pretty awesome. So there's some facts and figures to our community from our staff. And with that, thank you.
Thank you so much. Lots going on in Beaumont. What's going on? All right.
Yes, Mayor,
We do?
I have a couple of
Okay.
councilor inquiries and a notice of motion.
Okay, that must have been added. So I'll let you put up the first one.
Thank you, Councillor Inquiry. Thank you, Councillor Inquiry here. Please provide information that outlines the process as well as the associated per household cost for extending municipal waste collection services to individual residents located outside the formerly developed urban area of the city.
And Councillor Penrod?
Thank you, Mayor. Please provide an update regarding progress on developing Beaumont's first heritage policy, including what steps have been completed, what groups or organizations have been or will be consulted, and what anticipated timeline for this proposed policy is to come to council for review.
That's it for councilor inquiries.
Okay, thank you. And that's it, right? Notices of motion? We have a notice of motion coming? Yes, Councillor Tellenboss?
Thank you. So this is a notice of motion for targeted construction site enforcement. So at the February 2024-2026 regular council meeting, I will move that administration develop and implement a targeted task force or coordinated enforcement campaign for a period of 1 month commencing March 1st, 2026 to ensure that builders are fully complying with all applicable Beaumont bylaws with continuous enforcement as required. This initiative should target enforcement and include, but not limited to, verifying each construction site has a required waste bin, remains free from unsightly conditions, and does not obstruct sidewalk access, and does not pose any safety risks to the general public.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay, that's it. All right, so that concludes our open session here currently, and so we're going to move into our closed session at 8:21. I move that council move into closed session 8:21 to discuss item 11.1, personnel matters pursuant to Access to Information Act, sections 20 and 22. Any discussion? Any vote? And carried unanimously. Okay. Just say 11, then we can end early. We're live? Okay, we are live, but just for a brief moment to let you know that we are going to be closing down the live stream and not coming back tonight. So thank you for your patience, those who've been watching, and we'll see you next time. So, Councillor Hyde, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd make the motion that council suspend the meeting procedures bylaw to extend the February 10th, 2026 regular council meeting until 11 p.m.
Okay, we'll vote. And that carried unanimously. So at that, we'll have to have another motion to go back in. So yeah, we're going to go back into closed session to continue our conversation.
I got my mic on still, I might as well finish it.
Sure.
You can leave me up there. I had motioned that council move into closed session at 10 PM to discuss item 11.1, personnel matters, pursuant to the Access to Information Act, Sections 20 and 22.
And we'll go to a vote. And that carried unanimously. So we will go into closed session.